Hi guys, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. Also, if you noticed, I did cut my hair. It was getting really long, really dead, and it just really needed to go. So anyways, I really wanted to do this video because I've seen it around some people do it, and it did take us a while to get the name that we finally have now. So I thought it would be cool to go through all the names that we love but that we did not end up choosing. A lot of these names actually, I'm looking at the list now, a lot of them I loved, but Andy, he was like cutting them out, like absolutely not, I don't like that. And so we'll go through all of them and explain like why we're not using them. If anyone actually has these names, don't take any offense to this. This is just our personal preference and just what we do or do not want to, name our daughter, what we feel comfortable with. So anyways, let's get right on into the video. All right, so the first girl name is the name Adeline. I also like the name Addison, but the same reason goes for both names as to why we did not end up choosing this. Andy actually, he didn't exit out as soon as I said it. It wasn't one of his favorites. However, we both just really did not like the nickname Addie as much as we liked the name Adeline or Addison. And so for that reason, that one we said no to. Sorry, like out of breath. So the next name is the name Caroline. I really like this name just because of how classic it sounds. However, Andy did not like it. So also we didn't like the name Carrie as a nickname, and so for that reason that one was out, other than Andy just didn't like it from the beginning. But the next name is Emerson. This name I semi-liked, but it definitely was not one of my favorites, and Andy actually ended up liking this name. I started seeing the name everywhere, and although the name that we did choose is not like an uncommon name, this name, it became very popular this year and the past couple years, and so I didn't want her having the same name as like all of her friends, so that's why we did not choose the name Emerson. And like I wasn't completely sold on it. I didn't love it that much, but it was in the running. This next name I absolutely loved, like probably was my number 2 choice. If we wouldn't have named her what we are now, then this probably I would have loved to be her name. And that name is Hadley. Don't know why, I just like absolutely love this name. I think it is like a cooler name. I think it's not so common, but Andy was not a huge fan of it. So he's not a huge fan of like weird, crazy names, and so although this one isn't a weird or crazy name, it just wasn't like a normal name, and so I think for that reason he didn't like it. So Hadley was out. The next name that I really liked is the name Blake. However, the more I got to thinking about it, the more I liked it as a middle name instead of a first name. Also, Andy didn't like it as a first name either. He did like it as a middle name, but not as a first name. So for that reason, we didn't choose that. However, I really do like the name Blake as a middle name. I think it's really cute. So the next name that we had for a girl actually was our first choice until we found the name that we have now, and that is Sophie. We both, like from the get-go, this was our name, this was what we had picked out, and we both really liked it. But the more that I kept like saying the name to myself, I was just kind of like, I don't love it. I don't know if this is something that I want to like name my daughter, because I'm not super crazy about it, or I'm not as crazy about it as I was when we first picked it out. Also, like, I don't really care for the name Sophia. I really liked the name Sophie, but not Sophia, and I knew like my mom, she liked the name Sophia better, and so I was like, yeah, no, like this is not it. So we nixed that one out real quick. All right, so for the next name, it's kind of like the same situation with the whole Adeline and Addison. The name is Madeline. If you can tell, I like those little, the ending of those names. But anyways, so I really liked the name Madeline just because of how classic it sounded, and it was just a pretty name. But I don't like the nickname Maddie. And once again, nothing against people that actually have these names, because like I have friends that are named Maddie, and that's also like another reason was because we didn't want our kid having the same name as someone that we're around. So yeah. All right, the next name is Mila. I loved this name. Andy did not like this name at all whatsoever. Just didn't care for it. But also, someone that we know just had a baby named Mila, and so we were kind of like, oh, well, that one's out anyways. Or I was. Andy said no from the beginning. But, yeah, so that one was out. These last two girl names are kind of like the same situation with the name Blake. I really, really love these names, but I like them as middle names and not as first names. And so these names are Reese and Sloan. I absolutely love these names, and if they would have gone well with the name that we have chosen, like the first name that we have chosen now, then it probably would have, one of these would have been her middle name, because I just absolutely loved them, and Andy liked them all. And so if it would have gone with the name that we picked out, it would have been one of those would have been her middle name. However, it didn't, and so that's why they're on this list. But now we're on to the boy names. A lot of these names I actually had like in my phone before we even got pregnant. Just as like I heard them, I would write them down and be like, oh my gosh, I love that name. I would always want to name my son that. However, when me and Andy got together, I learned really quick that half of the names that I had picked out were not going to work, because in Andy's family, there's like a tradition now that we follow. So his parents had 3 boys and gave all 3 of them the initials AKR. And that's something that's really special to Andy that he wanted to like pass down if he had a son, to continue that tradition. And so the first 3 names on this list were like actual possible contenders because they started with an A. However, the rest of them are just names that, like, yes, we both liked, or yes, I really liked, but they weren't going to work because they didn't start with an A. So 7 out of 10 of these, that is the reason that we didn't pick them. Also because we're having a girl. So the first name is Anderson. I love this name just because of how, like, I like the old-timey names, and this just sounded like just like that. However, and Andy really liked it too. However, the more we got to thinking about it, like, his nickname would probably be Andy, and didn't really want 2 boys in the same house with the same name. So that one got, kicked to the curb real quick. All right, this next name I loved. I actually don't think that Andy was a huge fan of this. I really don't remember, but we do have boy names picked out. We have 2 boy names picked out for if we do have a boy in the future, and they're not on this list. Anyways, so the next name, I'm pretty sure I liked, but Andy didn't. And that's the name Arlo. I really, really like this name. However, Andy is a country boy, and I don't think he really cared for the name Arlo, just because I think to him it didn't sound like a man's name. Once again, no offense to anyone who actually has these names. These are just our preferences. So yeah, I loved the name Arlo. He did not. So that one got kicked out. Sorry, I had to pee. Okay, so where was I? So the next name that we both actually really liked was the name Elijah, but spelled with an A. I actually really, really liked this name. So did he. It was actually the name that we had picked out for a while. One of my cousin's names is Elijah, and it was just like conflict of interest. He doesn't even go by that name. However, it was just kind of like, no. So we nixed that one out. The rest of these names were nixed just because of the fact that they did not start with an A. Alright, so the first name is Graham. I love this name. I think it is such a charming name, if that makes sense. I don't know. I just really, really liked this name. But didn't start with an A, so it was out. I don't know if Andy actually liked this one or not. But another name that I liked was the name Grant. I really, really liked this name, and it kind of had like a separate background for me because my great-grandmother, her maiden name is Grant, and all of my great-uncles, which I love dearly, they're all Grants, and so I thought that would be a cool name, but doesn't start with an A, so it was out. The next name is Jax. I actually don't think Andy liked this name at all, like whatsoever, but I wanted it spelled like Jax, and yeah, I don't think he was a fan, but it didn't start with an A anyways, so it wasn't an option. The next name is Lincoln. I really like this name just because it was like an older name. It was just really cute and I really liked it. The next name I actually have always loved. Like I always said, this is what I'm going to name my son if I ever have one. Like I absolutely love this name. And it's Lucas, but for obvious reasons, that one's out. The next name is the name Rhett. I don't think Andy liked this name either. I think he thought it was cool at first, but then the more he got to thinking about it, he was like, well, I don't want people thinking we named our kid after Thomas Rhett, which I would because I love Thomas Rhett. But that's not the reason why I liked the name. I just thought it was a cool name. So that one was out. And then the last name that we have is Miles. Don't know why, I just kind of always liked this name and thought it would be cool to if he was a smiley baby, then to call him Smiles. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't start with an A, so it doesn't matter. Alright guys, that is all the names that we have picked out. I think that's it. As far as her name goes, the name that we've actually picked out, I really want to kind of give a hint and see, or maybe 2 hints, and see if anybody can guess it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And then maybe in future videos, I'll give future hints. But yeah, so first hint. So her initials are EGR. A lot of people that know us but don't know the name know that we've called her little E, baby E, that kind of thing. So they've picked up on the fact that her first name does start with an E, but we haven't announced what her initials are. And so her initials are EGR, R obviously being Russell, so you've only got to figure out the other 2. That's the first hint. And then the second hint, and actually I gave a hint earlier in the video, if you paid attention. I gave a hint about her first name. It was a very small hint, but it was a hint. So if you were paying attention, you picked up on it. I'll make this last hint about the middle name. So it is not a common name at all whatsoever. It's actually kind of different. Andy was kind of at first, but once I like put the name together, he was like, oh, I really liked that. And even our family was kind of like, okay. But everybody loves the name now. So those are your 2 hints. So her initials are EGR, and her middle name is not a common name at all. So it's not like Grace or anything like that common G name. Let me know, like, if you think you know what it is. You can like leave a comment on like my Instagram, or you can DM me or whatever. But that would, yeah, I want you guys to try to like guess her name, because we've had a lot of questions like from our friends and stuff that don't know. They're just like, you know, what is the name? That is it for today's video. Make sure if you liked it to give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of us. Later on, I plan to start uploading at least once a week, because I'm at home and I have nothing else to do. So I'm going to try to get better about an uploading schedule so that you guys know when you can come on here. You can also hit the little bell and it'll let you know whenever we post anything. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!